The Rose Ball Season 2. My name is Lola Rose, and I'm the creator, producer, and artistic director of Rose Productions. Tonight, we are here with our top 4 to ask some questions, get some answers, and just spill some tea. So let's get right into it. So we're going to take a little journey down memory lane, recap Season 2. Miss Ophelia Payne, Miss Ophelioma, is back in the competition. I want to ask Ophelia first, when I reached out and asked you to join the monster that is Season 2, how did you feel? What made you want to come back? How did your perspective change in the very short time you were not competing here at the Rose Ball? But yeah, give me the tea. Give me what's going through your head during that. You get the text from Lola Rose and it says, I want you in another show. And you're like, what the fuck? So tell me what was going on in that moment.
Well, I mean, first of all, I was going to block you. And then I thought about it for a little bit longer. And I thought, well, I don't think everyone's seen enough of me. So here I am again. And I thought, fuck it, why not? I thought Season 2 would be terribly boring because I did carry Season 1,
In some way, this is like a little bit of that all-stars type of mindset. So how did you approach coming into Season 2? How did you approach it?
Well, I did. Well, I think obviously initially I had an advantage because I knew what you guys were looking for. I'd been through the whole process. I'd been critiqued to death about everything and anything. So I'd already grown a lot through Season 1. So I think my mindset going into Season 2, though, is I think Season 1, I was so desperate to win that I think I tripped myself up a bit. So in Season 2, I was like, just take a step back and dig a little bit deeper into what I wanted to produce, with obviously the guidelines that you guys had given us. But just really, I felt I really wanted to push into Ophelia's creativity, and I think I've done that in Season 2 a lot more. And I haven't overthought each challenge. I've kind of gone in with it and gone with my gut. And I think that's what I brought from Season 1 to Season 2. And it's paid off, bitches, because I'm here in the top 4. Not that I've won anything yet, but I'm still here.
Obviously, the competition is not done yet. In some ways, the competition is just getting started. So for you, Ophelia, I want to know, obviously coming back into this, anyone coming into this has things they want to accomplish, but I feel like your list might be a little bit longer because you've, done this twice. Have you, up until this point, accomplished what you've wanted to accomplish coming back into Season 2?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've shown a much more varied Ophelia during Season 2. I've got to also to the top 4 and to the final. And the piece that I have wanted to do for Season 1, I've now done for the Season 2 finale. And I'm actually really glad that I've had that time with it because it's such an important video. So I just wanted to get here and I wanted to show what I'm going to show in the finale. And that's what I've done. And obviously win. But I'm really pleased that I've got to this point. And also I feel that actually the Rose Ball has helped me so much as an artist to really dig deep and find out who I am as a drag artist. It's given me structure, it's given me focus, and it's given me the kick up the arse to actually do some shit and do some good shit. And I've done it, and I'm here, and I can't wait to show you what this whole journey has brought me to, because it's making me feel like I'm going to do a sperm donor and cry, but you won't be able to tell. But I'm very emotional about it, and I'm just so grateful to have gone through the process and to have got here and to be showing you what I'm going to show you.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's it's a crazy journey you've been on. More a very unique journey that you've been on. Now we're into season 2. So holiday castings happened. Ophelia's back. Great. There was another little kind of a twist, but we reintroduced the cast scoring procedure for this season, which was a part of every competition except for Rose Ball season 1. Ophelia, you didn't have that experience in season 1. So now you have that in season 2.
It was really, really tough. It was really tough. Like, I think as well, because I had come in later, I hadn't been in the chats. I hadn't got to know everyone so well. So I was kind of sort of straight in and was like, right, judge everybody. Which was like episode 1. I was like, fine, I don't really know these bitches. I'm like, bottom, middle, top, whatever. But it was really hard, you know, because I think knowing going through season 1 how much work you put in, to then have to put somebody in that bottom place, that every week, that broke my heart. It really did. It was really, really hard to do.
Sweet boy, I'll start with you. How did you feel coming into a competition like this, but then also learning that you also had to play the role of a judge at some point in some way?
As an opinionated bitch anyway, I was excited to it's kind of be like, oh, what do I think of this? I think it was harder because cut back to like the first week, my closest friend in the competition was probably Crystal. And Crystal clearly placed lowest in the first week. So I found that hard being like, okay, push my like friendship aside because I have to be real and like put her at the bottom for this, which I knew she was going to be like upset by, obviously. But it was kind of like obviously judging it fairly and judging it on the actual competition. So there's a lot of things like that. And then as I like kind of like became closer with everyone, it was like, okay, now I don't want to put anyone in the bottom, but every week there had to be someone in the bottom. And I don't think, it wasn't always clear who the bottom was. So it was difficult to like make those choices, but I would do it again.
Cool. Emo, what about you?
Yeah, definitely at first I was scared because, you know, in a competition, people could totally use that ranking system as like, oh, I hate Emo. Like, I'm going to put that bitch last, even though regardless of what I put in.
Right.
But I think everyone did a pretty fair job judging and ranking people. Like, you know, there were times when my rankings were totally different between the judges and the cast. But, you know, it just goes to show the difference of taste and how like your work can reach one person and not another. And just, you know, looking at all these different aspects, it was really hard to grade everyone. Like, you know, just having to look at like, okay, looking at how much work like probably went into this specific costume piece and like that lighting that they did and stuff like that is usually what I kind of defaulted to when trying to organize people.
The thing is, like, I make specific criteria for these challenges for the judges, but everyone when viewing it has a different list of criteria looking at art. So yeah, it's hard, but everyone, it's like to each their own list of criteria, you know? So it is, I know it's hard. So Versailles, what about you?
Speaking on the criteria thing, yeah, I'm kind of snobby when it comes to art, unfortunately. But I'm also super nice, and I know how much work has gone into everybody's work. Like, even if I can't see it with my eyes, I know from personal experience. So it was really hard to put anybody below third place. And I honestly didn't want to do it. But yeah, it was difficult. It was fun, but it was difficult.
Now we're moving into actually season 2. So starting with the first challenge, y'all are split into 2 groups. We got Group A with only one survivor of Group A with us tonight, sweet boy. And then we have Group B, and half of Group B has made it to the finals. So Group A, I'm gonna start with you, sweet boy. First question for you. So the first challenge, you guys get assigned to do the witch theme. You gotta make a witch-inspired look and then a lip sync performance to Edge of Midnight. So this is your second time coming in second. So I want to know, how are you feeling after like being in the top 2 times but not snagging a win? Are you frustrated at this point? Or is the feeling the opposite? Are you frustrated, or are you more motivated knowing that you're doing well, you just gotta push? You know what I mean? Like, what was the mindset like after High?
I think like the moment you find out that you came second and not first, there's like that moment, the first thought is, fuck's sake, I didn't win. So there was like the immediate like frustration. But I think after like a few minutes, you're like, actually, wait, no, let's listen again to what the critiques were, think about why I didn't win. And so I think that like kind of motivated me to like just do better the next week. Yeah, I think it was like a moment of frustration, and then, okay, just get on with it, bitch. Like, this is a competition. Of course it's going to be hard. Of course it's going to be frustrating.
Yeah.
And clearly played off.
There you go. So now we are into Group B. Your category for the first challenge, Group B, is Zombie. So Emo also did very well in the casting spectacular. So coming into this first challenge, when I say you shook the table, like the table was so shooketh and the legs were falling off and everything after that first challenge. So how did it feel coming in, like, you know, holiday things happening, there's so many people, there's so much happening, and then the first challenge, boom, number 1. How did that feel for you?
It was like crazy. Like I said earlier, I didn't expect to do well at all, to be honest. I was like, and you know, I obviously put so much work into that video, into the storyboarding it and the props and everything, and that like instant validation was so good.
Okay, Ophelia. So first challenge back in Rose Ball, you were not in the holiday casting spectacular. Your holiday variety show was all of season 1. So you're back in the competition. This is your first challenge. Most of season 1, you were in that, I think it was 4 out of the 6 challenges, you were in that second place spot. So coming back, how did you feel landing again in that second place spot?
God damn it. Well, do you know what? When I saw what Emo did, taking second to that, I mean, I doth tip my hat to you and take it. It was a lot of pressure, that first episode. I was really pleased to get in that top 2 and just say, I'm here and I'm here to play. Do you know what I mean?
Versailles also did very well in the holiday casting spectacular. First challenge, I don't know who did it. I don't know who scored you this way, but ended up in the bottom 2. So sorry about it. So first challenge, that happens. I'm curious to know, like, how does that affect your mindset, not just for that specific challenge, but then looking at the rest of the competition? Because even the people that get eliminated first in this season completed 4 challenges. You know what I mean? So how did that affect your mindset and your kind of game plan going into challenge 2 and 3?
I definitely did not expect to place that low. And it was kind of a blow to me because I love everything apocalypse. It is one of my favorite things, and to put so much heart and soul in it and then to be placed so low was definitely a blow. And I think I'm the only one here that actually like started from the bottom and worked my way up. And looking at everybody else's and judging what they have done, I knew I wasn't going to be at the top. Emo doing something pop culture and fucking amazing, like changing your skin tone, really? That was clever. And Ophelia doing something so emotional and personal was beautiful. So yeah, it was definitely a wake-up call for me too. It's like, oh, okay, I guess nobody's here to play games. I guess I gotta turn it up a few levels.
Let's move on to challenge number 2, the Inspiration Ball. So Sweet Boy, TR Whack, had mixed reviews on the runway, but a pretty unanimous decision about that fucking performance. So 2 times high, been in the top. This was finally got that win with a very seriously iconic and memorable performance. So how did you feel? I also want to know, like, how did you put that all together? Because you really nailed the challenge of meshing Sweet Boy's aesthetic with Tiara Wax. So, like, tell me a little bit about the process, but also tell me a little bit about, like, how do you feel finally getting a win?
First of all, the challenge, being given like the inspiration ball, I kind of got stuck on like who to do, because my first thought was to do Queen Herbie, but obviously I'd already done that in the holiday casting.
Right.
So I was kind of like, oh, okay, who else does actually inspire me? And as I've said before, I kind of like the weird and the unique and the kooky and all that stuff. And Tiara Wax very much is that. So in terms of like all sorts of like creativity, Tiara Wax has always been like an inspiration for like years ago when I first started listening to her. And I felt like that was a good move to do someone that isn't as well known as maybe like doing someone like, I don't know, Lady Gaga or something. I didn't want someone that everyone was going to know immediately, because I wanted to be able to introduce that person to the audience and the judges, and show you what they're all about, but through Sweet Boy. And I think I've done that, which is really exciting. That plus like being so focused on like applying the critiques that were given to me, and now like so like eager to get my win after 2 high placements. I think that kind of all just like mashed together to to get me where I did, which is really exciting.
Still on Inspiration Ball. So now it's Group B's turn, same prompt. Starting with Emo, first contestant in season 2 to win 2 times in a row. So how did that feel after the first win? Did you think you were going to win again? What was going through your mind after the Inspiration Ball?
Well, I mean, I of course didn't expect to win. I feel like I'm going to say that repeatedly like a parrot, but it's like so true. And especially I like fucking love Bowie so much. So when I saw Miss Ophelia's, I was shooketh. The fangirl in me was like going crazy. So, and I felt like it put a target on my back, and, haven't been up since. But it's worse.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on to Ophelia. You're in a very similar position this challenge, Miss Ophelia. High placement again, but coming second to Emo for the second time. How are you feeling? Walk me through it. Tell me about it.
I felt it was quite a redemption for me from season 1, because the Inspiration Ball was where I really tripped up. That was obviously, the last episode before the top 3 were decided. And I had placed really high through the season, and then that Inspiration Ball just ruined any chance that I had of getting into the final. So I was super nervous about doing the Inspiration Ball, but I loved the fact that we got to choose who we wanted to do. Again, I think there was like two bloody points in it again. But I think I know for that challenge that my runway let me down a little bit. There was things that were a little bit unfinished. I was doing day drag, and I got a little bit freaked out because when I was filming it, this like group of people, I was like right in this sort of busy shopping area, because there was that graffiti that I really wanted to use that said "Art is expression," and I didn't kind of think it through, that the fact that it was a really busy part of Brighton. So all of a sudden, like I was trying to do this runway, and it's like 20 people, and I'm like, COVID! I'm breaking COVID regulations. So I got a little bit freaked out. So I was like, okay, what? Let's go home. So I did kind of get that my runway wasn't quite what I wanted, but I was genuinely trying to not break the law. But that's no excuse. I should have done better.
You could have broken the law, yeah.
Yeah, I did break the law. I created a crowd.
Oh, I thought it was, were they like cheering you on?
there was people watching and people going, "Oh, you look fab," like waving at me. I was like, "Go away."
You would have gotten them in the shot. You would have gotten a perfect score.
I got my picture taken and ended up on some Instagram called Humans of Hove, and they did like this little Instagram post of me as well. I was like, "Oh, fucking hell."
I wonder why you didn't share that Instagram post.
Yeah, I didn't share it. I
story.
didn't share it because you could see how bad my makeup was. That was amazing.
Well, I will say the Bowie performance, you talked about a redemption from season 1's Gaga Ball. Yeah, if you're going to call it a redemption, I was very, collectively, we were all really, really blown away by, I mean, there were elements of both runway and performance, but that performance was one of the most memorable from this season. So congratulations on cute little All-Stars redemption. Oh my God. Moving on to Versailles. So week 2, top 3 this week, top 3 in the challenge. I know there's like no high placement, but in my mind, it was a high placement because that look was like, I mean, I don't mean to say like slept on in the first challenge, but I think me personally, and I think collectively, slept a little bit on you in the first challenge, because this was, for me, really, this challenge was like, oh, this is like Versailles here. And the look itself was such a combination of the original and cosplay. And then I saw so much of Versailles' personality for like really the first time. And I was like, oh shit. So how did it feel? You know, how did you feel going from the first challenge to the second challenge? Like, what was the process of applying the critiques and then ultimately, you know, delivering in that area?
To me, it was a little bit easier because it was kind of actually cosplay.
Yeah.
So I kind of used that power to sort of drive myself. And it was really hard to choose who to do because I'm not, oddly enough, being a king, I'm not really inspired by a whole lot of male singers. And I thought of Steam Powered Giraffe because a lot of people don't know who they are, especially if they're not part of the steampunk community. And her being a trans woman, the lead singer, Rabbit, it was kind of a nice tie-in to like bringing light of more queer artists. Considering how the judges responded to it, it's like, oh, so that's what they meant. Okay, we'll just go with that then.
There you go. Yeah, it was really cool. And it was my favorite part of this challenge specifically was like so many of you brought in references that A, I've either never heard of, or B, I wouldn't have thought of for you. So it was so cool to see like, you know, I know who My Chemical Romance is and I know of David Bowie, but I don't know a lot about them. So to like see like your perspective on it was super cool. And same with the steampunk and same with TR Whack. Like it was so cool to see that perspective. And it was one of my favorite challenges we've ever done. And it really kind of like, I feel like season 1, we had a lot of challenges of like, fit this, do this, try this. And it was very like, this was one of the first times I really got to see like just a lot. There was like a plethora of references that came together to make really, really cool episodes. So congrats to all 4 of you, all 12 of everyone that was in that episode, because it was really, really awesome. So good work. Again, last challenge of the quarterfinal rounds was horror week. Horror week. Let's get Sweet Boy up here. Following in Emo's footsteps, you got your second win in a row. Good job. Congratulations. I wrote down in my notes, I said, I've seen a lot of contestants here at Rose Productions, here at Rose Ball, and then I've also experienced other contestants and been one myself that don't always necessarily take judges' critiques the best. And I get it. I've done it. It's not easy. It's hard. Drag is a personal thing. Lola comes from the depths of my rosebud where no human has ever gone. So putting her up for critiques is a hard thing to do. And I mean, like a shoe critique, it's not the deepest emotional thing ever, but it's a critique nonetheless. So was it easy to take a critique and turn it into something comedic and ultimately successful like that? Or was it hard? Like, how butthurt were you about the shoe critique is basically what I'm asking. But yeah, like, how did you think of that? Yeah, how'd you come up with the shoe theme?
So the shoe comment was like, I completely agree with it, and like it wasn't a problem. Like as soon as I got that critique, I was straight onto like eBay, like buying some more shoes. It was kind of like, okay, my shoes aren't going to arrive until next week, so in the next challenge, I'm still going to have to wear the same shoes. So what can I do about them to make it make a difference with them? And so I was thinking about like the shoes, and then I was thinking about like Professor's comment, which like I agree with. I'm not like I don't want to sound like salty about it because it was no. And so I was like, I messaged Brad something about like, oh my God, I should make a horror film about those bloody shoes or something like that. And I was like, work, and I was like, actually, wait, no, that could actually be really funny if I could like pull that off. So then I was like dead set on this idea like the day before deadline, and I was like, okay, I'm completely changing my whole idea, completely reshooting it. And I just happened to have like a wig similar to Professor's hair, and I was like able to do something like that direction. And I was like, I hope Professor doesn't get like offended by this. I was like, I hope I'm funny enough that it's not like this like bad like impression of Professor and like a bad comment on like the judges like critique.
Perfect.
It was like somewhat funny. I got like, it was fine. I got away with it.
I think some of our I'll speak for the panel at this point, but some of our favorite moments from both seasons is when we get made fun of, like Misty's roast. Oh my God, like it was like that level of like make fun of us comedy. So yeah, we future contestants, read us the house down, make fun of us. Don't take like be rude. Oh, okay. Emo first. Emo, I don't think you understand. I don't know if I've ever resonated with a challenge as much as I have with the frogs. Like William was there when I watched it the first time. I can't even tell you. It was so weird because I watched it the first time and I was like, okay, that's a good one. And then I went back and watched it again, and I don't know what it was, but it just all got me. It hit me. I clicked with it. I connected with it. Oh my gosh. So I'll never get over it. How did you come up with the idea to do like gay frogs?
So like as a kid, my dad just had no filter showing me anything. So I was watching like Godzilla, like monster movies, and like a whole bunch of weird, like shitty movies like that. And so I really love that kind of weird niche. And I, of course, I've seen that video of Alex Jones going, chemicals in the water to turn the frogs gay. And I was just brainstorming with my friend, and he brought that video up, and I was like, oh my God, like. And then just, I've written for a sketch comedy group before. So I have like some kind of like comedic writing experience. So that's really kind of what I laid into. And it was just every single line was ridiculous. Like the fact that this husband looks at the frog like a frog and is like, how do you think that frog's a little gay? Like it's a normal thing. Like it's just so stupid.
Last question about that. Did you have the frog suit laying around, or did you order it for this challenge? I hope the answer is you had it laying around.
Okay, my best friend is Treshik Lacroix, another very talented drag performer, and they had a birthday party that was princess themed. So because I'm not very femme, I showed up as frog. So I ordered it specifically for that. And I was like, dude, if I can get away with using this fucking ridiculous frog suit and like be safe beyond like that, I can retire. That's it.
There you go. What sent me into an asthmatic attack was the sound of the suit rubbing against your body as you turned around. That's what did it for me. So good job. Yeah. Great job on Horror Week. Moving on to Ophelia. So I really don't mean to just be like last season, because we're not here about last season, but one of the things I wanted to just mention, because it was a similar challenge. Last season we had the comedy movie trailers. You were top 2 for that challenge. Did that have an effect when you were planning your movie trailer for this season? Like how did that affect your mindset and that whole thing? So kind of I want to get the inside scoop on that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I went back and I watched the critiques that I got from that season, from that specific episode. Like, I loved what I did in season 1. I mean, that permed wig is like in pride of place on a shelf, and I pray to it every day. And I was totally living my Glenn Close fantasy in season 1. And but I remembered the critiques that I got, that it was really narrative, it was much more of a scene, and like also Professor saying that because they hadn't seen the film necessarily, it was hard to connect with what I was trying to put across. So I sort of stepped back and I was like, right, okay, so I've got to take all those bits that they've said to me and I've got to make a trailer. And I obviously went back and watched Kitschy's trailer, you know, because that was mind-blowingly brilliant in every single way. Camp Kitschy, I'm booked there as soon as the restrictions lift. Yeah, I'm having a summer holiday there. So I was like, I've got to make it a trailer. So I was really conscious of, maybe a little bit too conscious of the critiques that I'd received before. I think this for me felt like the first challenge that was a real repeat of season 1. Like, I didn't, even though the inspiration ball, we'd had it before, it was our own choice. Mm-hmm. So this for me, actually, I felt quite a lot of pressure because it felt like the first real actual repeat. Like, you'd seen me do this specific challenge already. Yeah, it did play a lot on what I did.
We could talk about frogs, we could talk about Skrillex, whatever that was called, but I'm gonna be okay. So Versailles trailer, really great, loved it, really great work on the trailer, checked all the boxes, but bitch, that Hallows Eve runway, like, I don't think you understand. That was like when I said the previous challenge where we were like, oh, okay, like we see Versailles coming out, we're getting it. This was like, you know, when they hit a home run at like a professional baseball game and there's just fireworks everywhere. When you turned around as that Halloween character, that was the moment. It was so detailed, head to toe, literally head to toe. Yeah, how was that? Was it difficult, I'm assuming? Like, what was the process behind creating that look?
Stupid process. That was a lot to do in just like a week. I usually give myself like a week to make the looks because my partner's schedule, they help me film. So we were only really available to film like on the weekends. So I would give myself a week to make these things. And that collar thing, individually cut leaves, all hand painted, and then glued together with a hope and a prayer. So my process was kind of like, okay, this works in theory, so it should work in practice, right? And so that's pretty much my drag in general. It's like, it works in theory. We'll just work the kinks out as we get to it. But yeah, I sort of had this thought of like, I want to take all of these hollow elements and make just one big drag monster. Bring in those cosplay elements because I know how to work with EVA foam. I had to include horns because I love horns. I'm a demon bitch. I love it. But yeah, I was definitely doing my best. Doing my best to incorporate hollow and myself, which matched a lot better than I thought it was going to.
The work and the amount of work that went into it was definitely evident visually, but even if you're not thinking about the work, it was a visual masterpiece. So congratulations on your first win of the season, a big win, right before the final, right before the cut. How did that feel? Like, I'm sure that was nerve-wracking. Like, all right, last challenge, let's get it. How did you feel, you know, snagging that, not just snagging that win, but like taking the win, snapping it in half and then pissing on
it? So because I had such harsh critiques for the first challenge, it's like, oh God, I really have to amp it up. This is actually my last chance to hoping to get into top 8. And I was kind of thinking okay, I was low first challenge, safe second challenge. Even with a win, am I still gonna make it in? I have no idea. And I didn't not think I was gonna get in, but I was genuinely worried that I wasn't going to. But seeing how everybody was freaking out over the Hollow Eve look and even over the trailer, I was like, oh, okay. All right, yeah, I guess I'll have an inch of confidence this time, I guess.
All right, moving on to the freak show, going to Versailles. So Versailles, 2 wins in a row. There's a pattern here. I'm seeing there's a pattern. How did you come up with your character? Actually, I'll ask all of you this. How did you come up with your character for the freak show? What was your inspiration? Just kind of walk me through the creative process. So let's start with Emo, because you're right next to me. So Emo, starting with the alligator, what was your process? How did you come up with that?
Again, I love the idea of monster movies and a swamp man, and in Dracula Resurrection, Priscilla Chambers did this amazing swamp witch where she had that alligator head. It was a real one that she used. But I thought that was badass. And I was like, what to do as a freak show, because doing the performance part is a hard time to fill. 3-4 minutes is a long time to hold someone's attention just doing an act. So that's why, of course, I sprinkled in the backstory, and that ended up okay. But that was a challenge. Is I wanted to do something like an elephant, kind of circusy, but like that. So he just came from somewhere.
Cool. Ophelia, how did you come up with whatever that character was?
Was that a read? I've been read a few times this evening, I think. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had a gaga moment with this challenge. Do you know what? It's been a journey, and this is another thing I've learned in this journey, is that when I really put myself under that pressure, and it was like that pressure to get into the next part of the competition, my anxious brain totally kicked in, and I completely second guessed everything that I did. Because I had a completely different character planned for the freak show. Obviously not for the outfit, because it took me a long time to make the outfit. Hard to believe, I know, but it did. It was a lot of hot glue and hope, and so originally I was going to do a pinhead, and I'd practiced the ball cap, and I got this wig piece made with a little bit of hair and stuff, and then I was finding it really difficult to connect the pinhead character to the talent that I was going to do. So at the last minute, when I was about to do my makeup, I completely changed everything that I was going to do, and did this whole latex burnt makeup look, and then stuck on that dreadful yellow wig that everyone hates, and danced around the woods and had other problems and stuff. But anyway, yeah, that's basically how I came up with that abomination that was my last challenge. But I will say this. You've got to give me fucking points, because I nearly set myself on fire on several occasions, and I have never, ever, ever done fire breathing in my life. I literally went up on my roof terrace an hour before I was due to go and film it, and was like, can I actually do this? I was like, oh, yes, shit, okay, I can. Right, let's do it. Grab the gymnastic ribbons. We're going to the woods. It was a journey. Listen, I threw myself around. I pranced around in the woods. I was like, fuck the backstory. I'm just going to have a good time. And I did. And hey, I liked it. And I nearly set myself on fire. So there you go. Ophelia out.
Word. I mean, hey, listen. There are elements of it that are. I'm being dead serious. There were parts of your submission that were done well. I personally felt that way. I loved the setup, loved the lights, and I got it for what it was. I don't know if you got it, but I think I got something. But you're here. It's all
Listen, I had a good time. I mean, I nearly got hypothermia. That's a good drag name. Welcome to the stage, hypothermia. Nearly got hypothermia filming it. I've had a lot of Sauvignon Blanc, if anyone's noticed, whilst we've been filming this.
I'm drinking Sauvignon Blanc too, bitch.
Oh, cheers, baby.
I'm going to go to Sweet Boy first, because then I'm going to end with Versailles, because I have something to ask. So, Sweet Boy, how did you come up with your character?
It was a really hard process trying to decide a character to do. There was lots of like freak show things that I could do. The first obvious choice was a clown, but we know how Professor feels about those. And I'd just done a clown, obviously, for like the Dragula runway. So I was like, that's already out the window. I was like, what else is freak show? And it was really like important to me to not like, I didn't want to like glamorize any like deformities or anything like that. Like, not that anyone did, but I was scared of like doing that. I didn't want to go that direction with it. So I was like, okay, what's freaky then? So then I started thinking about like the Dragula freak show, where it was all like horror. So I was like, okay, let's go like a horror kind of route. And I ordered some like sword swallowing retractable swords from eBay and kind of went from there. I was originally going to do a like ringleader. I forgot the word. I was originally going to do like purely like ringleader, but then I was like, how do I make that into like a performance? So then I like mixed in like the sword swallowing elements now, and I was like the sword swallowing ringleader-y sort of look. And yeah, I kind of wanted it to be like, I showed like the sword swallowing. I think I like got critiqued for this, but I showed the sword swallowing in like the runway because I wanted that to be like expected from me in the performance, so that it was like a bigger surprise when like it kind of went like a bit psycho. But I wanted that kind of like, I didn't do it as much as I wanted to, but I really wanted to create this like psycho character who was like killing the audience by making them sword swallow. And yeah, just I guess a horror point of view for the freak show instead.
You really committed to the whole like spitters or quitters thing, and I'm here for it. So, word.
Brad hates me for that.
All right, now Versailles. I'll ask you the same question. How did you come up with the Human Geode?
So I told myself no matter what the challenge is in February, if I even make it that far, I wanted to do something with my birthstone amethyst. So that's where that came from. And like Sweet Boy said, I wanted to do sort of like bodily horror type of thing, but I didn't want to do something that a person actually has. So I kind of had this process of like, how could I fit one of my favorite things about freak show is just like the vintage freak shows where you go and you see people that you can't look away from because they're so interesting to look at. But how do I not be rude at the same time? And so I came up with the gemstone type thing growing out of me. It's like, oh, okay, I could definitely run with that. The next challenge was, what the hell do I do for talent? So I was trying to think of like, okay, sharp, I'm pointy, so let's go with that. So I did like the whole balloon popping, and I had like a bunch of other stuff planned out, but I took literally 10 hours to get into makeup because I've never worked with that many prosthetics before, so I didn't realize it was going to take that long, especially with the back piece. I had to actually wait for as long as I could for it to dry because when I moved, it would just pop right off. Yeah. So it was a lot of waiting. And by the time I was actually able to film, it was like 3 a.m. So naturally, I forgot a lot of stuff because I was tired as hell. Yeah. But I also went sort of like the murder type of way. Of course, obviously, Sweet Boy had to one-up me with the whole Sweeney Todd thing just gushing everywhere. But I wanted to incorporate that creepy, murderous horror type of thing, which is also another one of my favorite components of Freak Show, because it's like a dark circus type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so with my performance, I had to think of like who I was as a character, and it's like, oh, my character is definitely that bitch. Definitely like the ringleader's favorite because he gives the best head and everybody knows it, earns the most money because he's the hottest. So I ran with that too. And it was kind of hard for me to think of like how to move because my mom was asleep upstairs. We were down in the basement. We didn't even play any music. So I was just vibing. It was like 5 a.m. I was tired. Let's just move around. And it worked, especially with the song that I chose.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I mean, like, I know, I'm pretty sure we all know the struggle of like trying to film something with your housemates and stuff like that. But what really set your performance apart was like how much, and I always say how hard it is to do this digitally, but the way you commanded at least my attention when I was watching it, like that's so, and like I get it. Like I know what you're talking about. Like the whole like it's 3 a.m. I'm tired. I have gemstones glued to my back. Get this shit off of me. So congratulations for I know everyone all top 8 struggled with that challenge. I know it was hard. I know it was a lot to do. So congratulations to you for winning like such a big challenge. But congratulations to all of our top 8 and especially our top 4 for like that. It's tough. Times are hard, and you guys have turned out some really amazing work. So yeah, Freak Show in the books, amazing job. And here we are, top 4 contestants of season 2. I am actually going to open up the floor to our other judges because I'm sick of hearing my own voice and looking at myself. I'm going to bring William to the spotlight first. And William, what do you got? What questions do you have for our finalists?
I'm going to start with Sweet Boy because oh my God, he's so sweet. Like, shut up. All right, Sweet Boy.
Hello.
First question to you, in-game goal. In your career in particular, what is it that you strive for in the end? What is it that you look forward to? We all have dreams, we all have aspirations, and we all see ourselves somewhere. I want to know where you see Sweet Boy as an entertainer at the very end of that road.
Okay, hard question. But Sweet Boy started as a way to like make my mum proud because not everyone knows, but she passed away in January 2020. And so Sweet Boy was born as a way to push out my creative side and do something whilst we were all locked down during a pandemic. And I wanted to like just be actively doing something to make myself happy, to make my mom happy wherever she was. And I think that's always going to like kind of carry me to continually like keep being proud of myself and like proud of what I'm doing. And just kind of like surprising everyone. Like that's always going to be like an obvious like goal of mine. But also in terms of like me and Brad, it's been like really like beautiful, like I don't know why I'm emotional all of a sudden. That came out of nowhere. Me and Brad, like we've been really able to like collaborate a lot since I started drag, which I've really like enjoyed because he's always been like an incredible photographer. Like that's why I fell in love with him in the first place. And then I've been doing like film, and I just wasn't ever expecting us to be able to like collaborate so like closely. And I just think that me and him together are like such like a power couple, and that we're going to be doing like some amazing things, especially once we can get out damn quarantine and the pandemic. And I'm just really excited to just keep pushing both of our creativity and just become unstoppable as this drag photography film duo that just does cool shit, basically.
What was your favorite part about joining Rose Productions, because you did join a little bit late for the season, but you jumped on. And this as far as other performers' presentation or your own presentation or something funny that happened because of the show. What was your favorite moment in Rose production history? And this is not only this season that you're in, but any of the seasons I know you, Sweet Boy, have watched.
Not to still be like, I'm probably still emotional from the last question, but like, just kind of like before this competition, I didn't have any like drag friends or anything like that. I'd not long started my Instagram. I started in like August, I think. And I was just kind of like, just there. And then it wasn't until like Lola messaged me being like, do you want to join this? I was like, yeah, okay, like, fuck it. And then suddenly I'm just like chatting to like loads of people that are like doing similar things and like just other drag artists and stuff. And now I've got like so many like drag friends from this. And that's just like really special to me because when you're just locked down, you can't do shit all. It's hard to like find like bits of happiness, but like this whole like Rose Productions like community has just been like really like game changing in terms of like life and happiness and everything like that. So I sound like really soppy and I don't know why I'm so like soppy all of a sudden. It's probably like, I don't know, anything. But I'm just really happy. Like the best part for me easily was just meeting everyone, and like half the people I like watched on Rose Balls anyway. And now I'm like talking to them and I'm like, wait, these are like people I was like looking up to 2 weeks ago. And now suddenly I'm like chatting to them every day. It's just really mad. But I'm just really excited and grateful for that, I guess.
Okay, moving on to a more talented bitch, Ophelia. Miss Ophelia.
Okay.
I've been wanting to know this for a while, so this is more of a personal question. I want to know, who is your biggest supporter and who helps you film and art direct and edit and things in drag?
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't have a main person. Like, it's me.
Yeah.
I have friends who help me film. I have a group of friends who help me film, whoever's free.
Right.
But art direction, inspiration, ideas. I live on my own with my dog, and I have done for a long time. And my housemate who lives in LA now and has lived in LA for quite some time is somebody who I would generally bounce creative ideas off, but she's been living in LA for 2 or 3 years now. So I don't have a significant other. If this is your way of asking if I'm single, I am.
Listen, I was thinking you was stupid.
But no, I mean, Ophelia is me. Like when I have ideas, I'm generally like, especially in lockdown, and even before lockdown, I don't think I've not been a particularly social person over the past couple of years. So the ideas that I have are me sat at home with the dog, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. So
in the 2 Rose Ball seasons that you participated in, what was your favorite performance? And that includes yourself or any other performer.
Okay. My favorite performance. I'm gonna, and this is no shade to my season 2 family, but and also to you, Sperm Donna, because you know I love you, darling. But it has to be Kitschy's finale, just because for me it was a real personal moment as well. Like Rocky Horror Picture Show for me is, it taught me what gender fuckery was all about as a kid. Like, I think I told you this on a Zoom call when we were drunk, but I remember watching Rocky Horror. I'd pretended that I was ill by eating a spoonful of Marmite and throwing up in the morning because I didn't want to do gym, and stayed at home and found in my mum's video collection the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I was about like 9, I think 8 or 9, And I remember watching it like curled up on the sofa under a blanket, and just literally, I mean, I was at Catholic school and was seriously repressed, and this moment of like, this is what I am, this is me, this is who I am. And I think Rocky Horror has been that for so many people. And to see an artist do, and especially a drag king, take on Frankenfurter and do it so fucking beautifully. So many fantastic references, the crowd and the production and the crying blue makeup. I actually genuinely cried my eyes out when I watched it. And that for me will just be in my head forever and ever. And ever and ever.
I'm going to move on over to Mr. Emo Knievel. How long have you been performing as a character? And what inspired you to commit to the character that is emo?
I come from a technical theater background, so I'm really not used to being a performer at all. Like in college, I majored in theatrical lighting design and costume design. So emo was born in college. We did like our own drag show, and I was originally just hosting it because, you know, we're so I at least was so brainwashed by watching like Schmoopal's Schmagmace.
Right.
Seeing that like hyper feminine, that perfect hourglass figure being so idolized, and so like that is the top tier gold standard. So I went an approach of being like, okay, like I'm a woman underneath this. And, you know, my whole life I've been the funny fat friend, basically. You know, I'm masculine, I'm tomboy. I wasn't really like that hot bitch. So I was like, but I also face as a woman those things of being like, oh, you're a woman, so you can't be funny. And I was like, okay, well, then I'm going to be a man and I'm going to be hilarious. Like, that's kind of how that started for me. And then it's just like a whole culmination of like, I used to cosplay too. And like my sketch writing thing all conglomerated into this monstrosity you see before you.
Are you confident in winning this competition? Specifically, given that you have performed so well in the first 3 challenges that there are, and I've noticed that you yourself have maybe just done what you thought was best and somehow got a better result. I want to know if you're confident about winning this competition.
I feel like, you know, and this is from my perspective, who fucking knows? I feel like I'm kind of hitting this redemption arc where I was up top and then I kind of slipped and I'm coming back, because with this last challenge, I'm really being vulnerable and I'm showing like, I preach so much about how I want to be myself, and like being genuinely myself is a huge thing for me. And sometimes like last challenge, the judges were like, we're done seeing that. Can we see something else, please? So in this next challenge, I'm really doing that. I'm laying it on the table. So like, yes, I'm confident I can win. I think I would be, you know, a stunning fucking king of this shit, but I am confident. And, you know, it was like that thing I didn't expect to want to even win it. When I first started it, my friend Trashik was like, I'm going to apply to this. Like, you should apply to it too. And so I did, and then they didn't. So
yeah, Trashik, I asked her.
Shout out to Trashik for bringing us this beautiful performer. All right, we'll move on to Versailles. We've seen so many different sides of you. What part of your character do you love the most? And what part of your character is the favorite that you do?
When I first started in drag, I did my best to be like as like cut form king as possible. I tried to be like super masculine. I tried to be like the super hot one. It's like everybody's boyfriend, basically. And throughout the years, I kind of learned like, that's not really my thing, is it? I can't really do masculine that well. So I just decided, fuck it, just going to scrap the whole thing. And I kind of leaned more into the gender fuckery type of drag and just kind of decided like Versailles is definitely more of that super flamboyant gay friend that everybody wants to go shopping with, maybe watch a bit of anime with, can't escape the makeup sessions with. So that's my favorite part of Versailles, just like throwing caution to the wind, doing whatever I want. And throughout this competition, I kind of realized that I'm also a bit dumb. I've definitely leaned into like the himbo part of Versailles. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's like hot, but also like kind of dumb, but in a cute way. And I kind of, I've definitely leaned towards that also, because Versailles is also an extension of who I actually am.
All right, I'm going to take William away from the spotlight. All right, take it away, bro.
Let's start with Sweet Boots. I want to know, you seem like someone who came in with a really competitive point of view. Like you came in, you said, I want the crown, I want it. I believe you said, give it. Like, so I'm curious, what drives your competitive spirit?
Growing up, I've always been like a competitive person anyway. I think when you grow up as a gay person, I think that kind of fuels a bit of competitiveness in you anyway, because you're so like compressed, you naturally become competitive just to show that you're worthy of being there. Now I've been like introduced to how like amazing the rest of the artists are. It's like, oh, okay, maybe it's not going to be as easy as I thought it was during the promo.
Next, let's go with Versailles. I know we talk about it quite a bit, but I do want to ask you about your cosplay background and how now, I think if I've interpreted what you said correctly, you've been performing more and putting more effort into your performances. That's right? So I'm curious, after this competition, whether you're to win or not, where do you see your performance career going after this?
Before all of this started, I didn't really think about filming like at all. I never really saw that as like, well, it's not that I didn't see that as an important part of drag, but it wasn't something that I thought about doing myself. It was just more of me being on Instagram and taking pictures of looks that I've done. And now it's kind of more like I want more content in order to show what I've done, like put a personality behind the thing that I've spent so long building, because before it was just me standing awkwardly in front of a camera like, hi, it's me. And now being made to sort of put on performances and show personality, even if it's not like Versailles specifically, but if it's whatever character I've created, it sort of put more thought into like the background of the character itself, like what situation would they be in, what background would I use. So this competition's definitely made me think about that, especially the critiques from the first challenge where everybody was saying how it was kind of like redundant because I was just in the woods. So now I think about that more, and going onward after this, I will definitely be thinking of that more and making more content that's visually nice to watch instead of just, okay, he's in drag in a character and just lip syncing, and now it's going to be like a whole music video.
Thanks so much. I'm going to move on to Ophelia. I remember fondly the days competing in that long-lost competition, the Ariana Grande Ball, where I was there up against like kids younger than the students I was teaching at the time, like feeling very odd. Like even now, like Marie is younger than my students were. I don't know. It's so from one old bitch to another. What is it like for you? Like, I know my perspective. I'm wondering, like, is it something you think of? Is it just completely irrelevant? Like, how do you see yourself in this competition of Vivids?
I love it. I love the energy. I love the youth. I love seeing the fresh perspectives of things like gender, people's take on their art, etc. You know, I mean, yes, you see a lot of it repeated, etc. But to see some really fresh ideas coming through from the young contestants, for me, just gives me life, and I feed off it, you know, and it drives me, and I'm all for it, babe. I mean, you know, also I have got a lot of experience of life in general, which I hope that I can just throw into it as well. So I'm all right with it. I'm going to teach the children some things, but I also know that they can teach me a lot of things at the same time, you know?
So emo, you seem to be someone who, like, we all have our things in drag, our preferred aesthetics, our preferred performance types, and you seem to be someone who gravitates toward comedy. And so I just want to know, what is it about comedy and comedic performance that that really gets you excited?
For me, it's a difference between coming in as a drag queen versus a drag king. Because as a king, I feel like I need to have a certain edge or a certain upper hand. And I can't just be, you know, I can't just pencil in a mustache and say, hey, I'm in drag. Like, I feel like I need to bring another level and another certain thing to it. I can't just stand there and look good. Because it's just a different kind of world, right? Like, you know, I could pull a Mr. Olympia and like try and flex, but it's truly not impressive at all. Versus, you know, I can make fun of myself from 6th grade on and, you know, people relate. So I don't know. I think that's just, and it's a defense mechanism, of course. You know, I rather laugh than cry.
Thanks, Professor. This is the bitch who is handing down the coveted Rose Ball crown for you. So I'm really excited to hear what she has to ask.
We all know I'm an emotional bitch. I've cried more over this competition and this Rose Productions than I have in my whole life. So what I look for in a performer is their heart. And the questions I have are all the same for each 4 of you. But my questions are, what are you most proud of about yourself? This can be in the competition or before this. And why do you do drag? Why do you wake up and say, I want to throw in a wig, throw in a lip, put this costume on? I'll start alphabetically, so I'll go with emo. What are you most proud of about yourself, and why do you do drag?
I'm most proud of my general positive attitude. I try to really bring and I touched on this earlier in I think a confessional, that when we're uplifting ourselves and uplifting those people around us, it makes the competition better. It makes us all look better. It puts everything, you know. So I never want to be like playing these mind games and things. And I think I'm proud that I've stayed true to myself and my ideals throughout the entire competition. And I felt like I didn't have a moment where I was like, ooh, I hate this bitch. I mean, most of the time. But that's definitely, I think, what I'm most proud of coming out and around this competition. And why I do drag, I think, is, again, that escapism, and to be able to put on a different face or put on a big pair of lashes and feel like the world literally revolves for you. Like, that's like kind of the ego trip I get, you know, of course, when there's all the pretty lights and all the glitter and everything. It's for the serotonin burst, if you will.
Ophelia, you're next. What are you most proud of about yourself?
Am I next? Is that I am next. I forgot the alphabet there for a second. Oh God. Okay. Yeah. This is for me is quite a big question. And I feel like what I'm about to show you in the finale is, I am literally laying my heart out on a table and telling you everything about why I am doing what I'm doing. And I am going to cry. I'm doing you. I'm not going to give too much away now because I'm going to talk about it in the finale. But something very traumatic happened to me 5 years ago that literally, I was a really creative person. I was a fashion photographer. I directed music videos. I have always been artistic throughout my entire life. And something happened to me 5 years ago, and it killed me. It killed me creatively. And I've only been able to find that through the drag that I've been doing in the past couple of years. And drag has given me back my life in so many ways, because I have felt really lost over the past couple of years because of what happened. And I don't want to tell you right now, because I'm going to tell you later, and we're going to cry in the finale as well. But I feel everything that I've been doing in the past 2 years has led to this point and this performance. And that's what I'm so proud of, is that I've finally had the courage to tell this story. And I hide a lot of my insecurities behind my comedy and my stupidness and my flamboyancy and all that kind of stuff. And I think as drag performers, we always do that. And I think as queer people, we always do that. I know as a queer person experiencing bullying, etc., you know, I was always like, hit them with the funnies. And we do that, and it's our shield and it's our armor. And I lost that. And drag, and especially the Rose Ball, really gave me back that direction. And that's what I'm most proud of. And I'm most proud of what I'm about to show you, because it's me, and it's everything. And I yeah. I am actually crying quite a lot behind my gift mask.
I really lost these contacts just then. Moving on to Sweet Spy, that's alphabetical. Same questions. What are you most proud of about yourself in this competition or before, and why do you do drag?
So I do drag because I've always wanted some way to like express myself, and many different people find different ways to express themselves. And it wasn't until Brad convinced me my last birthday to buy some makeup and pretend to be a girl. It's been like my whole life, I've always been trying to fit into like other groups and trying to like do all these things that's not me. And I've never really been like good at anything. I don't know how to like word this, but I've always been like trying to be other people and trying to like do what's expected of me and all that sort of stuff. But it wasn't until like I did actually start putting makeup on and pretending to be a girl that I realized that this is what I was meant to do. And you can just feel when something's right. And it's genuinely made me like so happy. I wouldn't say that I was like in a bad place before, but 2020 was a really tough year before I started drag, and it just completely changed my life, like starting drag. And that sounds really dramatic because I'm literally just sat here with some makeup on my face, but it really has changed my life. And I'm really proud of just like every time I get into drag, even if it's an awful look that I don't even post or something like that, it's just some part of me, like a part of like my creative side just comes out, and I just feel a bit more comfortable in myself and comfortable in my sexuality. And like mine and Brad's relationship has grown a lot stronger throughout this. And like, I'm not saying because of my drag, but like that, like one thing of me like becoming more comfortable with myself, me and him, I feel like I'm talking about him a lot. Me and him have grown like a lot closer, I think. And it's just things like that that are making me like settle into the person that I was always meant to be, which is really special to me.
Moving on to Versailles, last but not least, what are you most proud of about yourself in this competition or before, and why do you do drag?
So starting out with why I do drag, I started because I was having sort of like a quarter life crisis. I was 25. I was sitting at my job at my office. I'm basically a secretary, and being an artist in such an environment that's not that artistic. It was just like a huge bummer, and it was sort of slipping me into somewhat of a depression because I went to college for graphic design and I've always been surrounded by art. So being taken away from that was sort of like a kind of like a culture shock for me in a way. So I had met my partner at a drag show, and an amateur show was coming up, and they kind of convinced me to do it. And so I figured, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do it because I'm sitting here at this job realizing that I can't really be who I want to be. And I have no creative outlet whatsoever other than like making little cosplay thingies. So it was like a way to give my creativity out, and also to conquer my stage fright, because I have like this big loud personality, and I always got like comments from teachers in schools like, oh, you should be in theater, oh, you should be like in drama productions. Like, okay, so why don't you go on stage for me? So it was like a way to conquer that big fear of mine. And I'm most proud of myself for being able to do that and conquering that fear. And going into this competition, it's helped me to sort of like boost my confidence also, which is, I mean, that's something everybody struggles with, but it was something that definitely hit me very hard. And like, in terms of being pretty and stuff like that, always down about how I look, and being able to put on makeup and putting on a costume, it makes me feel more like myself, and I get to be who I want to be, which is just big, loud, and fun. So I think, yeah, definitely most proud of myself for being able to tackle this and going headstrong into some territory that I've never been in, because I didn't even really know much about drag before meeting my partner. So it was kind of like feeling out this whole new world and trying to meet cosplay and drag together, which apparently I just got. So
Well, thank you very much, all four of you. I can't wait to see what you do next week.
All right, last question of the evening. I want to know, why do you want to win? And I don't mean like, why do you want to win the competition? Why do you want to win this? What does this mean to you? What is this about? I'll go reverse alphabetical order. So let's start with Versailles.
winning this would definitely be like the biggest goddamn validation of my life. Going in against so many amazing artists and coming out on top, not necessarily being like, oh, you're number one, you're better than literally everybody, but also like, yeah, you're better than like everybody. Congratulations. But it's also, and I mentioned this in my confessionals to get into the Rose Ball, being a king is hard. Just throwing that out there. It's hard because we don't get a lot of recognition, and you can kind of blame that a little bit on the show that must not be named.
But all on that.
But kings aren't necessarily highlighted, and when we're at shows, we don't get as much love or as much tips because I guess people just don't get it. And a lot of people, like, if you say, oh, I'm a drag king, they'll be like, oh, is that like a drag queen? It's like, yeah, except like, yeah, yes, you're right. So it'd be nice to help represent like the AFAB performer community, because we don't get a lot of recognition. A lot of the times we don't even get onto the shows that we apply for. So getting on was cool enough, but to be able to get this far and having the opportunity to say like, hey, we're important too, we can do drag too, that would mean the freaking world to me.
Sweet boy, what says you?
The question again, please.
He wants his intro.
Are you and Brad interested in a throuple?
So I touched on this earlier, but obviously, like I've said this earlier, my mum passed away in January 2020, and I can't explain it in any words, but me and my mum were like the bestest of friends. And growing up as someone that didn't have like many friends, she was always kind of like there, and then she was like the one that I came out to, and then she done the rest of it for me. She told everyone else. So she's always been like the anchor point for me. So losing her was like horrible. Emotional again, sorry. Give me a second. So I started drag because I wanted to do something to make her proud. And suddenly I was like in this competition, and I was like, oh wait, I can really like show how much I can do. This has given me reason to like get up every day and get into drag and do all these like exciting like performances and looks that I've like been challenged to do. And I know I've made her proud, but it's like just doing something like, even getting this far I'm really happy with, but like winning the crown or something like that is like, it just feels like it would be like the placement to be like, okay, I've like done something to like put myself like at rest at like pleasing her. Because that's what I want to do, is just please her. Sorry. And I know I have done that, but it's just like every challenge is just going to be, every look I do, every performance I ever do is always going to be to make her proud. And so I don't know why I'm crying so much. I just mean this. So that's just that. So I will just continue doing me and being as authentically as me as I can. But I think anyone here deserves it, and I'm really excited to just be friends with everyone after this and just keep doing shit. And also that $250 is really nice.
Good answer. Moving on to Ophelia Payne. Bitch, why do you want to win this shit? Why are you back?
I mean, for starters, I should win something just for being here for a year. Because let's face it, it's nearly been a year that Ophelia Payne has been in the Rose Bowl. So, I mean, do I win something for the amount of time I've been here? No. Okay. Listen, I'm a conundrum in a lot of ways. Like, I'm competitive about some things and I'm not competitive about others. I find being competitive with drag really weird because it's not something that I am necessarily like. I don't want to beat somebody down for the drag that they do. I don't want to be like, I'm better than that person. But yes, I would love to win the Rose Bowl, obviously, because I mean, I'm so lucky to have been part of it from like that day one of Rose Bowl season 1, because it is such an amazing competition. I've said this before, like I've watched so many competitions online. This is it's just so well done. The production's so well done. The contestants are so amazing. The judges, they're all right. You know, they'll do. No, honestly, like everything about it is so amazing. And I don't want to like, I don't want me and Sweet Boy to be this emotional like roller coaster. But, you know, when I've already spoken about it, when you see where I've come to and what I've finally found the courage to put out there. Like, I don't care if you crown it or not. I'm so proud of it, and I think it deserves something. To win, yes, validation, great. We all love validation. But I feel like I'm not being funny, but I feel like I've just suddenly reached this like creative apex that I've been trying to claw myself back to for so many years. And this is just finally, like, all the pieces have fallen together. And this video that you're going to see is all of that and more. And I think that it deserves something. Stick a crown on it, stick something on it, applaud it, like it, put a comment under it, whatever you do. It's been a journey. And yeah, also this bitch could really do with $250 because I've been paying for stuff on Amazon for a year now to try and win this competition. So don't come for me for recycling a costume, because I can tell you my Amazon credit card is up to its limit. So give me the fucking money.
What a well-rounded, that had peaks and valleys and you tied it all together. All right, Emo, same question.
So yeah, what would winning mean for me? You know, kind of touching on what Versailles said, being a king, being an AFAB performer in a society that's especially not necessarily opening and welcome to that. Representation is so important. And I think it goes beyond just being a king, so here's the crown. I think I've brought a lot of different levels, and being someone much like Spermdana who is going to do good with that crown and is definitely someone that you can go to, and bringing like that warm sense of community, and being someone that some bumfuck goofy motherfucker from nowhere, Illinois can look up to and say, I can't sing, I can't dance, but I can still do drag, which is, my market. Would be amazing, especially coming from where I am, where I haven't really been in front of the camera and haven't really been that person where I'm used to being the dresser. I'm used to making the actor stand in one spot while I fix the lights on him. So for me to be able to have that full rounded experience and to be able to claim that as my title would be like face cracked, jaw dropped, everything. But again, I think what's really special about this top four is all of these people will bring that kind of warmth and that kind of love to the crown, which is super important. And especially, thinking about adding that person to the judging panel and to future shows and future things. Super important to have that kind of energy. And I think I embody that well. So I would love to win, please.
Just kind of like final words I wanted to say to wrap up this reunion. First of all, thank you all so much for your work this season. Thank you for being a part of this. It means a lot. It means it's hard to feel like, especially this year during this experience of the quarantine and the pandemic, it's hard to feel like the work you're putting into something is like growing. It's hard to feel like the seeds you're putting out are being planted and actually like mean something. So hearing all of you talk, and if I wasn't like so tired, I'd probably be crying as well. It means a lot. So thank you. And I'll say it again, but yeah, thank you for being a part of it, but also thank you for like being a part of it and like getting it and supporting it. So thank you for that. All right, the reunion is finally done. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Rose Ball Season 2. Next Saturday, right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, these four bitches are competing in the last challenge, which is their last chance to snatch the Season 2 crown and grand prize package and that money, which I am stealing. So yeah, comment below. Who are you rooting for? Is it Versailles? Is it Ophelia? Is it Sweet Boy? Is it Emo? Is it Brad? It's probably Brad. See you next time. Bye.